Tony T with our NFL Pick Show here for Sunday action. We have all 11 games. Before we get into just a couple things, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free NFL picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have college football. We have NBA, college basketball, NHL, World Cup, and more. It is a good time to subscribe. We put tons of free picks on our channel, so make sure you subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, like this video, give us that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers. Get signed up to some of our long-term passes. Cappers up there like Tiffany, who's been on fire. Paul has been hot. I come off a really good day yesterday, about 5-0 in one day with 500 units. Paul has been up there. Morning Steam Team Mindy. Click the link and get signed up to our long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here at the center of our page. Our best bets. Each capper can release one best bet per sport per day. See, many are up there right now for Sunday's action. Our $15 premium pick is a promotional item where each capper can designate one of their picks from their card as a $15 premium pick. Just introduce their service to new and existing customers. So you can see many of you want to make a good impression. You see these best bets here at that $15 price point. And of course, our 3-packs offer great value. Many up there here for Sunday's games. And our pick ticker. If you prefer to purchase your picks a la carte with team versus team information, go ahead and get signed up. Our promo code is TonyT at checkout. You can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use that promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description. Click the All Cappers tab and get signed up. Also, I'd love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. We are looking for cappers, so you can apply over at our site and our podcast. We put every pick and every show in podcast form. It's Tony's Picks Podcast, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks. All right, let's get this one started. Ravens and Steelers NFL pick here for action on Sunday. Lamar Jackson doubtful for the Ravens with a right guard doubtful. On defense, a linebacker questionable. Steelers starters healthy on both sides of the football. Baltimore improved to 8-4 after that 10-9 home win, come from behind style to Denver. Ravens gained 285 yards with 103 rushing on 28 carries. On defense, they held the Broncos to 3 yards per rush with 184 passing yards on 22 attempts. Lamar Jackson has a knee sprain, has not practiced all week. Backup Tyler Huntley in relief role last week completed 84% of his passes, 5.8 yards per pass attempt. He threw for 187 yards and an interception. Huntley, a career 67% completion rate with 5.7 yards per attempt. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Pittsburgh improved to 5-7 after that 19-16 road win at Atlanta. Steelers posted 351 yards with 154 rushing on 37 carries. On defense, they allowed 5 yards per rush to the Falcons with 160 passing yards on 24 attempts. Kenny Pickett completed 57% of his passes, 7 yards per pass attempt. He threw for 197 yards and a touchdown. On the year, the rookie, a 65% completion rate with 6.1 yards per attempt. Only 4 touchdown passes with 8 picks. Ravens defense passed 3 games, allowing 270 yards with 2.5 yards per rush. Running back Dobbins has been activated for the Ravens, which should help in the red zone. Ravens defense past 3 games has been outstanding on 3rd down and in the red zone. Play here, Baltimore +2. Browns and Bengals NFL pick Sunday. Mari Cooper questionable for the Browns. Their starters healthy on defense. Tight end Hayden Hurst out for the Bengals. On defense, their starters healthy. Cleveland improved to 5-7 after that 27-14 road win at Houston. The Browns gained 304 yards with 174 rushing on 38 carries. Defensively, they held the Texans under 4 yards per rush with 201 passing on 39 attempts, facing a backup Texans quarterback. Deshaun Watson completed 54% of his passes with 6 yards per attempt in his return. He threw for 131 yards and an interception. He missed all of 2021 a season. Cincinnati improved to 8-4, a 27-24 home win to Kansas City. Bengals gained 431 yards, 152 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, the Bengals allowed 5.5 yards per rush to the Chiefs with 211 yards passing on 27 attempts. Joe Burrow completed 80% of his passes, 9.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the year, Burrow a 69% completion rate with 7.8 yards per attempt. Bengals have won and covered 4 straight at home. At home, the Bengals are averaging 447 yards with 287 passing. Watson unimpressive against the Texans defense. Play here, Cincinnati minus the 5.5. Jets and Bills NFL pick here for Sunday. Jet fullback out with defensive starters healthy. A fullback here for Buffalo out with left tackle questionable. On defense, a defensive end out with linebacker questionable. New York fell to 7-5 after that 27-22 road defeat to Minnesota. Jets, moved the football for 486 yards with 120 rushing on 24 carries. On defense, they allowed 4 yards per rush to the Vikings with 159 passing on 35 attempts. Mike White, he completed 54% of his passes with 6.5 yards per attempt. He threw for 369 yards and 2 interceptions. Team was just 1 of 6 inside the red zone. This season, White a 62% completion rate with 8 yards per attempt. Buffalo improved to 8-3 with their 24-10 road win at New England. Bills gained 355 yards in the game, 132 of it rushing on 37 carries. On defense, they limited the Patriots to 4 yards per run and 182 passing yards on 36 attempts. Josh Allen completed 67% of his passes with 6.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jets have covered 5 straight after a loss. Past 5 games, Jets defense allowing just 292 yards and 16 points a game. To play here in New York, plus 10. Jaguars and Titans NFL pick Sunday. Trevor Lawrence and wide receiver Zay Jones questionable for the Jaguars. On defense, a linebacker out with safety questionable. Tennessee wide receiver Traylon Burks out. On defense, a linebacker and corner questionable. Also, questionable are defensive ends and nose tackle. Jacksonville fell to 4-8 after their 40-14 road defeat at Detroit Lions. Jaguars gained 266 yards in the game with 94 rushing on 19 carries. Defensively, they held over 3 yards per rush in this game here to the Lions, but 337 passing yards they gave up on 41 attempts. Trevor Lawrence completed 55% of his passes with 5.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 179 yards and a touchdown. On the season, Lawrence a 65% completion rate with 6.8 yards per attempt, all significantly higher than his rookie campaign. Tennessee 7-5, a 35-10 road win at Philadelphia. Titans gained 209 yards with 87 rushing on 21 carries in that loss to Philly. Defensively, they limited the Eagles to under 3 yards per rush, but 386 passing yards on 41 attempts. Back-to-back road games for the Jaguars. They have lost and failed to cover 6 of 7 on the highway. The past 3 games, Jaguars defense allowing 446 yards, 307 passing for 8 yards per attempt. Play here, Tennessee at minus 3.5. Texans and Cowboys NFL pick Sunday. Receivers Cooks and Collins out for the Texans. Their fullback questionable. On defensive corners out. Dallas starters healthy on offense, but a linebacker on defense questionable. Houston, they're now 1-10-1 after a 27-14 home defeat to Cleveland. Texans gained at 283 yards with 82 rushing on 22 carries. On defense, they did allow 4.5 yards per rush to the Browns with 130 passing yards on 22 attempts. Davis Mills has been inserted back as a starter. Mills on the season a 62% completion rate with 6.5 yards per attempt. Dallas improved to 9-3 after their 54-19 home win in Indianapolis. Cowboys posted 385 yards with 220 rushing on 34 carries. Defensively, they held the Colts to just under 4 yards per rush with 203 passing yards on 37 attempts. Dak Prescott completed 67% of his passes, 5.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 170 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. This season, Prescott a 68% completion rate, 7.4 yards per attempt. Cowboys did hold a +4 turnover margin. 4 straight unders for the Texans as they sit last in offensive yardage and second last in scoring this year. The player Houston Texans under 44.5. Eagles and Giants NFL pick here for Sunday. Philadelphia starters on offense and defense healthy. Giants running back Barkley questionable with the left guard out. Defense at an end doubtful, full, and a corner out. Philadelphia improved 11-1, a 35-10 home win to Tennessee. Eagles posted 453 yards, 67 of them rushing on 24 carries. On defense, they allowed 4 yards per rush to the Titans with 122 passing yards on 26 attempts. Jalen Hurts completed 74% of his passes with 9.7 yards per attempt. He passed for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the year, Hurts a 68% completion rate with 8.2 yards per attempt. All career lows. New York moved to 7-4-1 a 20-20 home title. Washington, the Giants posted in this one 316 yards with 134 rushing on 30 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 4 yards per run to the Commanders with 246 passing yards on 41 attempts. Eagles have failed to cover 4 of 5 on the road as they're giving up nearly 5 yards per rush on the ground, and they surrendered 4.9 yards per rush. The Giants have covered 5 of 7 at home, 7 of 9 overall. The play here will be the Giants here at +7. Vikings and Lions NFL pick Sunday. Minnesota left tackle and center questionable. On defense, and safety is questionable. Troy is a right guard doubtful. Defensively, on defense, linebacker out. Both corners questionable. Minnesota improved to 10-2 after a 27-22 home win to New York Jets. The Vikings posted 287 yards with 128 rushing on 29 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 5 yards per rush to the Jets with 366 passing yards on 58 attempts. Vikings held the Jets to 1 of 6 inside the red zone. Kirk Cousins completed 60% of his passes with 4.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 173 yards and a touchdown. This season, Cousins a 64% completion rate with 6.5 yards per attempt. Detroit improved to 5-7, a 40-14 home win to Jacksonville. Lions gained 437 yards with 100 rushing yards on 31 carries. On defense, they allowed 5 yards per carry to the Jaguars with 171 passing on 34 attempts. Jared Goff, 75% completion rate, 8.3 yards per attempt. On the year, Goff, a 65% completion rate with 7.5 yards per attempt. Vikings defense a major concern here, as in the past 3 games, allowing 451 yards with 341 passing for 8.2 yards per pass attempt. So those are issues there with the passing. The player will be on Detroit -2. Chiefs and Broncos NFL pick here for Sunday. KC receiver Kadarius Toney out with the left guard questionable. Their defensive starters are healthy. Broncos receiver Cortland Sutton out with as well as a fullback. Left guard questionable. On defense, Broncos nose tackle questionable. Now Kansas City fell to 9-3. A 27-24 road defeat to Cincinnati. Chiefs gained 359 yards with 138 rushings on 25 carries. On defense, they allowed 4.5 yards per rush to the Bengals with 270 passing yards in this one on 31 attempts. Pat Mahomes completed 59% of his passes, 8.3 yards per attempt. He passed for 223 yards and a touchdown. On the year, Mahomes, a 66% completion rate with 8.1 yards per attempt. Denver, they're a 3-9 football team. 10-9 road defeat to Baltimore. Broncos put up 272 yards with 88 rushing on 28 carries. Defensively, they limited the Ravens to over 3 yards per rush with 182 passing yards on 37 attempts. Russell Wilson, 77% completions in the win, 8.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 189 yards in the game. It was Russell Wilson actually, and they lost. They lost it, giving up that late drive for a touchdown. Wilson is a 60% completion rate this year with 7.1 yards per attempt. Margin of victory in Broncos games have been by 7 points or fewer in 6 of 7. At home, Denver holding opponents to 295 yards per game. The play here, Denver at -9. Panthers and Seahawks NFL pick here for Sunday. Carolina's starters are healthy on defense and defensive tackle and safety questionable. Carolina improved to 4-8 with their 23-10 home win to Denver as they hit the All-Star break. Panthers posted 349 yards, 185 rushing on 46 attempts. On defense, they allowed 6 yards per run to the Broncos with 125 passing on 35 attempts. Sam Darnold completed 58% of his passes in his return, 8.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 164 yards and a touchdown. Seattle improved to 7-5, a 27-23 road win at the Rams. Seahawks gained 438 yards with 350 passing yards on 22 carries. They allowed 5 yards per rush to the Rams with 148 passing yards on 26 attempts. Geno Smith, 72% completions, 9.4 yards per attempt. He passed for 367 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. On the year, Smith, a 73% completion rate, 8.1 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Panthers averaging 296 yards a game with 17 points. They have lost all 5 on the road this season. Play here, Seattle -4. Buccaneers and 49ers NFL pick here Sunday. Fournette and a right tackle out for Tampa Bay. Their tight end Braid and a left guard questionable. Both safeties on defense are doubtful, with a defensive end and nose tackle questionable. Tampa Bay improved to 6-6, a 17-16 home win in New Orleans. Bucks gained at 350 yards, 76 of it rushing on 20 carries. Defensively, they held the Saints to under 3 yards per rush with 232 passing yards on 29 attempts. Tom Brady completed 67% of his passes, 5.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. This year, Brady a 66% completion rate with 6.4 yards per attempt. San Francisco, they're now 8-4, 33-17 home win in Miami. 49ers gained 351 yards, 121 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, they held the Dolphins to 33 rushing yards on 275 passing on 34 attempts. Brock Purdy in a relief role last week, 68% completion rate, 5.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. The rookie this year, 63% completions, 6.6 yards per attempt. On the road, the Bucs are averaging only 16 points and are 6-3 to the under over those games. 49ers have played this 4-2 to the under at home. Tape on Purdy for the Buccaneers to get prepared here against them. The player will be Tampa Bay and San Francisco under 7.5. Dolphins and Chargers NFL pick here Sunday. Miami tight end Smythe with left tackle Armstead questionable. Their defensive starters healthy. Chargers right tackle doubtful. On defense, a defensive end and safety doubtful. Miami drops to 8-4. A 33-17 road defeat to San Francisco. Dolphins produced 308 yards, 33 rushing on 8 carries. On defense, they allowed nearly 4 yards per rush to the 49ers with 230 passing on 41 attempts. Tagovailoa completed 54% of his passes, 8.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. This year, Tagovailoa a 68% completion rate with 9 yards per attempt. The Chargers dropped to 6-6 with a 27-20 road defeat at the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders in this one blew the game. The Chargers did. The Chargers gained 386 yards with 72 rushing on 22 carries. On defense, they allowed 5 yards per rush to the Raiders with 250 passing yards on 30 attempts. On the road, Dolphins allowing 388 yards with 344 passing on 7.8 yards per attempt. Chargers defense at home allowing 376 yards with 5.2 yards per attempt and 7.2 yards per attempt in the passing games. Dolphins over in 5-6 on the road. The play here, Chargers in Miami over 53. All right, that was our NFL pick show here for Sunday. Make sure to like, subscribe, give us those thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. And visit TonySpace.com for our best bets today. Get signed up and use that promo code TonyT at checkout. You'll save 20% off. All right, we'll have some college hoops and NBA a little later on today. Don't forget our live show, Morning Steam, 9 a.m. each time with Mindy and Ramon. So check it out. I'm Tony T. Talk to you guys later.